G'day, I'm David Abrahams and welcome to Central Coast Newspaper's Weekly News, 5 at 5, February 18, 2022. COVID infections maintain their spread across the region as reported by CCN's official daily data. Looking at our graph, one trend you can see is the steady reduction in PCR test results, seen in blue. Self-reported rapid antigen tests have become the primary data source, and the New South Wales Government is urging people who have a positive test to report via the Services New South Wales app. Notably, another 4 locals have died with the virus this week. And time to sing from the rooftops. The Premier has announced an accelerated return to normal on Thursday afternoon. From today, QR check-ins and density limits in many venues have been scrapped. Dancing and singing in smaller venues will also be allowed. Mask wearing mandates will also be reduced, though will remain on public transport and other high-risk locations. We spoke with Parliamentary Secretary for the Central Coast, Adam Crouch, earlier today.
Look, the good news is obviously from Friday the 25th of February, masks will no longer be mandatory. I know that'll be a big relief to everybody because, again, we don't like them, but they do serve a great purpose. So what I would say that even when they're no longer mandatory, a lot of people will still choose to wear them, and if they feel uncomfortable, they should. Again, because it does restrict the aerosol spread of COVID-19. So the big news for next Friday will be that removal of the mandatory mask wearing.
And nurses took to the streets this week to protest low staff numbers. Local nurses joined the statewide strike and bussed to Sydney for a rally outside State Parliament. And this is what we saw.
We are not coping. We are struggling before this pandemic even hit, and this situation now is so much worse. We're asking our politicians today to invest in the public health system, invest in nurses and midwives, invest in ratios.
The only reason we've gotten through these last 2 years is because of your hard work and steadfast commitment to your patients.
It'd be a different story if it was the politicians, so come on, shape up.
And see the full story in this week's papers and online. And Peninsula Chamber of Commerce President Matthew Wales has kicked off a furious debate about rates and asset sales this week, saying to CCN in an interview he favoured targeted asset sales by council rather than sustained higher rates.
And we're not suggesting public reserves or things that are intrinsic to our local community, but there is land on the peninsula that is simply ordinary residentially zoned land that the council should be selling off and using that money to pay down debt. I think the council operates about 8 childcare centres across the Central Coast, numerous gyms in their leisure centres. One of the questions we ask is, why is the council operating childcare centres? But our view is that those childcare centres should be put to market, sell those off, and the council get out of those sorts of facilities that are not core or basic to the council's operations.
Council has already sold approximately $60 million worth of assets, with more to come. There's a furious debate on our website and on our socials about the suggestions. And a so-called puppy farm at Palm Grove has become the focus of animal liberation groups this week. We spoke with Animal Liberation's regional campaign manager, Lisa Ryan, who has launched a campaign to raise awareness and oppose an ongoing DA that has once again gone on exhibition at council. Here's what she has to say.
We, like local members of the Central Coast, have been aware of this commercial intensive dog breeding facility for some time. It's very clearly got a checkered and highly controversial history. It was established without consent in 2019 and has continued to operate. Because it's so significant and because in the New South Wales Parliament we have an inquiry into puppy farming in New South Wales at the moment, Animal Liberation thought it appropriate for public transparency to launch a campaign.
And the Killcare Waggstaffe Community Association have bestowed the Community Recognition Award to local woman Lisa Mount this week at a ceremony at Waggstaffe Hall. Lisa was recognised for her home markets program that has blossomed across the Central Coast. And just today at Sunset Beach, Hawaii, Molly Picklum has been performing out of her skin for the Championship Tour stop number 2. In the opening round, Molly got some competitive payback against last season's 4th place finisher, Joanne Defay, who knocked her out at the Banzai Pipeline earlier this month. Advancing straight through to the round of 16, Molly came up against the defending champion, Carissa Moore. It was a real David and Goliath victory for Molly, the bottom seed overcoming the top with 2 late waves for, in the end, a comfortable looking lead. Unfortunately, the quarterfinal against Brissa Hennessy is as far as Molly will get in Hawaii this Championship Tour. Despite scoring a hard-earned 7.33 single wave, her best wave of the day, her competition set a new standard with a winning 2-wave score of 14.77. Keep it going, Molly. And don't forget to watch the Mariners take on Melbourne Victory in Melbourne on Saturday night, when the boys in yellow have a chance of revenge against their recent FFA Cup loss.
Oh, you know what football's like, especially in the A-League, it's real topsy-turvy, so you just don't know what could happen. We haven't had any bad games, that's the thing. We've obviously the last 2 games we've copped goals in the last few minutes, which has been really disappointing, but how we played in the FFA Cup final, I think we were really strong, so I think we can stop them pretty easily and look to get another result.
And of all these stories written by local journalists from the region's largest newsroom can be found on our news website without a paywall and in this week's print editions of Coast Community News, Coast Community Chronicle and the Pelican Post. Remember also to subscribe to our email newsletter and our socials via YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify and Instagram for updates throughout the week. We leave you this week with a look at the art house Wyong, who tonight hosts the final performance of Awkward, created by Newcastle company Catapult Dance Choreographic Hub. Tonight's the last chance to catch the performance, so book the tickets at the Art House's website. Enjoy the weekend.
Minutes worth of chit-chat. You don't know enough about their family to ask them anything, so you smile awkwardly and mumble something into your drink. Rub that witty opening line off the back of your palm, just enough to break the ice. You need